Welcome, guys. This is the Sueno podcast. I'm your co-host, Alejandro Davalos.
And Sergio Molina. We're here with our friend Rene, who we met. So I met him through an accelerated class that we used to have.
Accelerated class?
Yeah.
What's that?
It was this class put on by, I think... Wibbick
Yeah.
in Gateway, right?
Yeah.
Well, it was hosted at Gateway, but it was through Wibbick. That's kind of where we met, but then... You know, when I started serving here in Racine more, we got to know each other more. So, yeah, just let them know who you are, what you do.
Rene Amado. Some people might know me as Mr. Guzman. Photographer, videographer, artist, teacher. Do a lot of things, I guess. Community supporter. Love to see what people are doing out here.
Yeah. We met, how did we meet? We met through Root City, right? I think.
Yeah, through Willie and
Willie
all those guys just being over there at the same place.
Yeah. I seen, what was it? It was just mostly just like nights there. We would spend listening to music and just chatting stories about just like the pastime.
Yeah.
I just sit there and listen because I'm still going through my pastime, I guess.
A lot of good connections are made at that space. So
Yeah. I mean, that's like I guess it's like a hub, really, you know, where people can really connect and really get to know people that are doing stuff in the community, I guess. Like,
yeah. I love what they do over there because it's already just by nature, it's such a collaborative space with the four of them, and then the photo studio in the back, which is a completely other business, which is also like a shared space.
right.
And then, you know, bringing in like Angel and Ruben now and hosting my own work there and then hosting other artists' work on the wall,
Right.
other collaborations and pop-up shops that they do inside there. I mean, that's just like it's a community space really.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was one of the reasons too, like, you know, trying to bridge that gap with them from downtown and uptown, since, you know, I'm serving here in uptown now. And that was cool, like doing that 90s gig with them.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
we were going to do another cookout, but I think we're going to wait until the end of June. But yeah, just finding ways to collaborate with those guys is something I'm definitely, you know, trying to do. And like working with you, you know, we did a couple like photo shoots, video shoots.
yep.
And yeah, as an entrepreneur, I feel like it's just building your team, you know.
Yeah,
Finding
with
those
them,
connects.
it's kind of funny because like I've known Willie since we were, well, I'm a few years older than him, but I knew his older brother, and then as a teenager, like I had a friend that grew up around the corner from where Willie grew up, and so my friend knew them, and we would just go over there and hang out, and then I met Willie just because like, you know, he would just be there at his house, and you know, just knowing him after that, you know, just seeing him around with his brother and whatnot.
Right.
And, you know, we just became cool. And then, you know, later we're both like of legal age and we see each other out at bars or whatever. And me and him kept in contact like while I was like in Texas. You know, we were still friends or whatever. I'd come back and see him. And then when I moved back, me and him connected. And he was like, yo, you need to meet, you know, all these other people that, you know, I've been doing stuff with. And so he introduced me to D, Mikey, Luke, and everybody. And it's funny that coming to find out, Mikey's uncle, I can't remember the guy's name now, but he used to have a space downtown right next to Pueblo, Wisconsin. That was, what was it called? iDesign. It was like a graphic design spot. And I used to go in there because I knew one of the owners of the place. And so I used to go through there and do some work with them. And meanwhile, Mikey would be in there. D used to airbrush t-shirts out of there, but like, both of them were so much younger than me at that point. Like I wasn't even really paying attention to who they were, but like we were already crossing paths like years ago before we even knew each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, that's dope.
That's cool. So wait, you grew up out here then? Or, Yeah?
Yeah, I
You
grew
born
up
in
out.
Racine or no?
Yep, born and raised here in Racine. And then it was 2009 when I wasn't really, you know, I was just kind of, I had been laid off, wasn't really doing much. I was just trying to freelance design and figure out whatever kind of work I could get in. There wasn't a whole lot going on here in Racine for jobs. Like it was pretty dry. It sucked. And so I was just like, I've always wanted to go to Texas. I've always liked San Antonio. I've visited there numerous times. Like, let me just get out of here for a while, see what happens. And yeah, I went down there, and I was there about 8 years. And it was a very very life transformation. You know, just a lot of transformation happened during that period out there.
Yeah.
So it was really important for me to be in this, you know, for me to be in this position that I am right now. I had to go down there. Like, that had to happen. Everything that happened down there had to, you know, it was important for where I am now.
Okay. So, like, is your family originally from Texas?
So yeah, kind of, sort of. So my dad is actually from Piedras Negras, which is right across the border. It's right along. I think it's Eagle Pass in Texas is right across the border from Piedras Negras. So that's where he's from. My mom was born down in the valley in what's the name of the city? I can't remember it now. She grew up in, well, she was born down there. And my mom's parents are from Mexico. My grandma's from right across the border in like Reynosa, that area.
Yeah.
One of those little towns out there. I forget exactly where. But we still had a bunch of family over there in that city. And then my grandpa, I believe his family's from Tampico, which is more down along the coast.
Yeah.
But my grandfather, he used to come across the border all the time since he was like, I want to say I heard when he was like 13, he started like coming across the border and just, you know, doing work in Texas.
Yeah.
And just going back and forth. And then, yeah, once my grandmother got pregnant, my mom is the second oldest. And so once my grandmother got pregnant with my uncle, who came before my mom, you know, they just crossed over. And, you know, my grandfather was a migrant worker. So they were just following the crops.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, they started down there in the south of Texas, and then, you know, just following work, moved all the way up north. You know, like, one of my uncles was born in Indiana. And then eventually, like, you know, they just found out about racing and came here and got settled. But, like, my dad's family, my grandfather on that side is actually a Texan. He was born in Texas. His whole family's from Texas. They've probably been there since, you know, Texas was back and forth between, you know, its status and whatever.
Yeah.
And my grandmother, his wife, was from Mexico, but when they got married, he moved down there, you know, moved in with their family. But he was still working, from what I remember. I'm pretty sure he was still working, like across the border, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they were right on the border, and he would just kind of, yeah, and his family, like, some of his brothers ended up, like, moving to Chicago, I think it was. And so eventually, my grandpa was just like, well, let's go up to Chicago. They've got work up there. And yeah, I think it was in like 68, if I remember right from what my dad's told me. He's the oldest one. He moved up there. He was about 19, so it must have been like 68 or 67. And he moved up there with my grandpa, and then they brought everybody else up there. And yeah, my dad was just working in Chicago, and then they made their way up here eventually because it was work up this way, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever had a chance to go back to where your family's from in Mexico?
I've never been to Piedras Negras.
Yeah.
I know some of my family's been out there, and one of my dad's brothers, like, everybody's here in the States now.
Yeah.
But, like, I know one of my dad's brothers goes out there pretty regularly.
Yeah.
He's kind of living between, like, Wisconsin and Arizona. He's got a house in each place, but you know, he goes back there sometimes. My mom's family, yeah, I've been down to it's been a long time.
Yeah.
But I was probably 4 or 5 maybe, and we went down. I went with my grandpa and my mom and my siblings, and I know we went down to Tampico because I remember, like, I still got a lot of memories from being down there.
Yeah.
Even as young as I was, I still remember a lot of that trip. But yeah, I remember being on the beach and being in the city there and in the Zocalo and stuff like that. So, and then I was probably about 16, I think, when I went with my mom's family, or my tias and my mom, down to where my grandma's from.
Okay.
Down in we got a lot of family down in the valley still, and then right across the border in the Reynosa area. So yeah, we went down there, check that out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. You want to start the tarot cards?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, so this is a little thing that we do with a couple of guests where we just kind of pick a card. It's like millennial loteria, so it's a little bit different than regular loteria. But this is Alejandro's card, I guess.
This is my frog? I'm a
troll.
frog.
You're a frog?
I'm a troll. Oh,
Are you a troll?
yeah, hell yeah. Yes.
Why do you say that? You just thought of something.
I was being one yesterday. I guess I'm like an instigator. That's what they tell me.
It's true.
I like to, I don't know, I just like to play devil's advocate, really. Like, if you tell me something, I just like to, like, I don't know, if it's something like I think you strongly believe in, it's just, I just like to play the other hand, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just me.
That reminds me.
Like Matt, when I was at the country club, I would really do that to him a lot. Just instigate stuff. Just because I like to, you know, push people's buttons.
Yeah.
You know? Why not? It's fun.
You call me an asshole. No, but that reminds me. So I can't remember if it was, when was it? I think it was last week. He was telling me Real Madrid sucks. He's like, man, they're trash or whatever. And then
No, I was saying Man City, I think, wasn't it?
oh yeah, Man. Yeah, it was Man City.
Man City.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. And yeah, I ended up looking up the score, and they were losing like 2-0. And then we come and film the podcast.
Was
and
it?
then they ended up winning.
Yeah, I remember.
They won the Premier League.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Man
they're like,
City,
they
yeah.
suck, no sé qué. And then
Yeah.
I like look it up later, and I was like, yes.
It was like 15 minutes left, and they scored. I'm like, man, all that jacking I was just doing.
Yeah, it was Man City. I forgot. All right, this is yours. El tattoo.
That's for me?
Do you got tattoos?
Yeah, I actually got 2 tattoos. That's it. You know, and growing up is funny. Like I remember watching like the old like gangster movies, like Blood In Blood Out, American Me, and like, you know, you see people in there tattooed and what. I always wanted like a lot of tattoos, but I only ended up with 2. And actually, I was talking to D recently. He'll probably do some more work this summer.
Nice.
okay.
What are you
Yeah.
getting?
Not fully sure yet. We're still developing some ideas, but I want to do like a sleeve that's like all about like some connected to the culture, you know.
Yeah.
So like being Chicano, Mexicano,
Yeah.
you know, that kind of thing. So I'm still developing everything that I want to get put into that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you go to a lot of those like lowrider shows and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Did you kind of get that when you went to Tejas?
No, that's been something that's been part of me since I was probably 11 or 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, being a kid, like one of my older cousins was, you know, more onto that kind of the culture, that part of the culture than anyone else that I knew. And he had like a bunch of lowrider magazines, and I remember being at his house one day, and I just saw like a lowrider magazine sitting on his dresser, and I had never seen one before.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, you know, I just see it sitting there, and you know, there's a crazy looking car, there's a beautiful woman, and I'm just like, you know, interested, you know, off top, and I see that, I'm like, what is this? You know, and he tells me like, oh, it's a lowrider magazine. You never seen one? I'm like, nah. And I started flipping through it, and I was just like blown away, just by like the different styles of the cars, and I mean, it's all kinds of women in bikinis and whatnot. You know, I was like, you know, just a little kid, like, oh my god, you know, I was like, this is crazy, you know, for so many reasons. Yeah, and that's essentially what happened. Was like, I was like,
Started
this
going
is
to the
dope.
shows.
Yeah, this is dope, and
Yeah,
I started
don't even know,
looking
where do you
for
find
it.
those?
You can't anymore. They don't make it anymore. But back then, I mean, you could find them. I mean, magazines were everywhere, you know.
Right.
So, yeah, I started seeing them around, and I would start, you know, bugging my mom, like if I was at a grocery store, to buy me one or whatever. And,
No, but I mean like the lowrider shows. You started
oh,
going
the
to those
shows.
too?
Yeah. What's
That
that?
kind of spurred you to start going to them?
Well, no, it just got me interested in the magazines and the culture, and I started buying them and looking into them. And it was like a couple years later, I remember I was telling my parents for like my birthday I wanted a lowrider bike, and they wouldn't buy me one because I mean they were expensive. And so I just started stashing away money, like whenever I could, whatever, you know, a few dollars I got. And I started building them. And yeah, as a teenager, between like, up until I got my license pretty much, I always had like a project bike that I was working on. And even after that, even until I was probably about 16 or 17, was the last time I worked on a bike.
That's cool.
And yeah, I had numerous bikes that I built, maybe like 5, I think. And then my brother-in-law, he was really into all that too. So once I got into it, and then like him, getting into it as well. He's like 6 or 7 years older than me. So it just kind of was like that support that I felt like I needed, because like my parents were like, they're working and it was too expensive for them to get into, and him being like, well, yeah, that's cool, you should do that, and he really supported that, and he ended up building some cars. He connected with a car club down in Waukegan, and then they got me involved with them on the bike side of things, and so I was probably about 16 or something when he got into the club, and then I started going down there with him. And yeah, from about 15 or 16 on, whenever there was a car show in Chicago, we were going to it. And so yeah, for a long time there, like into my early 20s, we were always at car shows. Yeah, and I kind of stopped going to them for a long time. And you'd think that there'd be more of that down in San Antonio, but the whole time I was there, I maybe went to like 4 or 5 lowrider shows. Like, I just never heard about them in San Antonio. You would rarely ever see it out there.
It's more of like a Cali thing, isn't it?
Yeah, Cali, Southwest, Arizona, Nevada's big on it. New Mexico, it's kind of disputed whether like LA or like Albuquerque is kind of like the home of, the Mecca, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that say, it's more Albuquerque, but yeah, pretty much anywhere Southwest, it's yeah.
It's big.
Even like going to like Houston or down in like the Valley in Texas, or even Dallas, like you see more of it there. It's not as prevalent in San Antonio. But yeah, coming back here, it was like in 2017 when I found out about this car show down in Chicago. Went to that, ended up meeting a bunch of people. I met one person there that introduced me to a ton of people. Shout out to my boy Lucio. But yeah, I talked to him out there. I just randomly started talking to him. He introduced me to a ton of people. He's one of my closest friends in Chicago to this day. And yeah, I just ended up connecting with a bunch of people out there that, yeah, it's been good. I've found work through all these people out there doing, photography and video stuff now. And I'm somebody that's kind of known in that community out there now too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and the thing too is like, you just don't like realize that, these conversations are technically like networking. Like that's what people have told me as like a business owner, you're just down to talk to people. Like eventually, you start building partnerships and friendships, and like you said, because you told me you do like shoots for like restaurants out there.
Yeah.
Like all types of work, right?
Yeah, so like I said, I met this dude Lucio down there, just randomly saw him kind of talking to all these different people, and I was new back, into the area. I had literally just moved back here maybe a month or two before that, and I'm trying to get involved, trying to see what's going on, because I like being involved with that kind of thing, art scenes and whatnot, and so I'm trying to meet people.
Yeah.
And I saw him talking to a bunch of different people, and he just seemed like he was super nice, so I was like, let me just go talk to this dude real quick, say what's up. And yeah, we just ended up talking, and as we're walking around, he's like, yeah, meet this dude right here, let me introduce you to this guy. And he just started like introducing me to different people, and then he introduced me to my guy Epi from Pinecone Tech, and then yeah, he's the one that I've been doing a lot of work out there with. So
That's cool. You ever ride in a lowrider?
oh yeah,
Like
yeah,
drive
plenty.
one too?
Drive, yeah, I remember driving my uncle or my brother-in-law's truck a couple times, and then just different people that I knew, of course, being in them. I never had a car with hydraulics, but even when I was a senior in high school, I had a 85 Regal that I had it on like some 13-inch triple gold wires. I had the system in it. It was super clean. I remember I had a lot of haters in high school over that car. But it was dope, man.
They hated on you? For what?
Just because, pulling up to school,
Flossing
and,
on 'em.
yeah, but I always had good jobs back then. Like when I was, young and had like no bills and no responsibilities. Like I always had good jobs, so being able to drop, $1,000 on those rims, it was like save a few paychecks, boom, here you go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I was working full time as a senior in high school, so
Yeah. No, that's cool.
yeah.
I know you're teaching them, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. Never would I have ever thought that I'd be in this position that I am.
Yeah.
It's crazy how things happen. Yeah, I was never the best student. I was never like bad, you know, like I was never like a bad student or bad kid in school or anything like that. But you know, my mindset back then was like just pass, you know, just get through it.
Right.
You know, don't get in any trouble. Just get in and get out. I hated being in school. Oh, and it's like I laugh about it now too. Like I've told people at school how taking the photography class I took at Horlick when it was like the dark room and all that. I just like I remember sleeping through that class. I took it because like my sister took it and she liked it, and so I was like, well, maybe I'll like it too. And so I took it and I just kind of like slept through it. And then I remember being like towards the end of the class, just kind of like waking up out of it and being like, I got to do something so I can pass this class. And I barely passed it with like a D, and I'm a photography teacher now. It's
Yeah, look at
it's
that.
funny. So
Funny how the world works.
yeah, it's
Yeah, I was
crazy.
a nightmare in high school too, man. I would sleep through classes too. Yeah.
I was always like I was always smart enough to get the work done.
Yeah.
So, and that was part of it, was like I wasn't worried about passing classes because I knew I could knock whatever the teacher was assigning out. I knew I could just do it.
Yeah.
And I pretty much did. So I would just sit in the back of the room, headphones on, drawing. You know, I was always like doing graffiti and stuff back then. So
Oh, damn.
yeah,
Were you into graffiti too then? Like real life too? Or just drawing it?
Sort of, I guess. I did a couple times, just being a little rebellious bad teenager. But it wasn't anything crazy. It wasn't like it was anything good.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything big that was like noteworthy or, just a couple of tags on the wall and, nothing too crazy.
Yeah, because you get some pretty cool shots of like graffiti too, I think, if I remember correct.
Yeah,
Right?
I used to shoot a lot of that stuff. That's kind of like where I started to more, I guess, find myself in San Antonio, was within that community.
The graffiti crew?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, ever since I was younger, just like seeing graffiti like in like Source magazines and whatnot. I remember a friend of mine from middle school, he was more into it than me. And so seeing him draw, he was like a real close friend of mine. Shout out to Ray. He was a real close friend of mine, so seeing him drawing what he was drawing, and I was always into just drawing in general.
Yeah.
But then he started teaching me like different letter styles and about graffiti, and seeing more of it like in magazines and stuff like that. I just kind of got more into it. And yeah, being in San Antonio, like murals, painters, graffiti is like a big scene out there. And so there was a store down there, the Paint Yard, that they used to do like these monthly, second Saturday every month. They had like an alleyway next to their store. It was, a really long building. And they had this alleyway that they would just invite artists into to come and just tag it all up. They'd buff the walls and then redo it like every month. There was that wall, there was the alley that goes both ways, and then around the other side, the building that was next to them, they had another wall over there that they would sometimes do as well. But yeah, like I discovered that spot like right before I started getting into photography, which was, well, I started getting more into photography about 2013. That was when I found that store and that space. And I just would like show up there and like start taking photos. And I used to be real shy about it at first. Like I've always been like, I guess a little bit shy, well, I used to be a lot more shy, but just kind of moving into that space, you're dealing with people that don't necessarily want their photos taken. A lot of them are still running the streets doing some illegal shit.
Yeah.
And so they don't really want to be on camera. And so I was always real cautious about shooting around there, and just kind of like, stuck to, just kind of stayed away from people and just kind of stuck to myself. And then eventually, like, I started meeting some people there and showing them my photos, and they were really encouraging and really liked what I was doing. And they invited me to show some work at a gallery that they were doing there. And so just getting in with those people there really brought me into the art world out there. And, I started showing photos at different galleries then through all those people. And it was really cool. I made some really good friends off of that. Shout out to homie Blue in Colorado now. But he used to do these street meets with photographers. He had a crew called the Street Keepers, and it was all street photography. And we would meet up what was it, like once a month?
Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, like I just through that, meeting all these different painters and artists of different types, meeting photographers through that. It really opened me up. It allowed more of that artistic side of me to come out, and just like it encouraged more of that and made me feel like, yeah, this is what I need to be doing.
Yeah. No, that's super cool. Just like working with a lot of people that are doing the same things and kind of just helping each other out. Not even realizing like intentionally trying to do that, but how it just kind of spurs, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I think that's why him and I would always talk about like, linking up with everybody at the branch. Like everybody's doing their own thing, and like how cool it is where you just kind of have these conversations and give each other ideas, and it's cool that you found like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, your energy is going to attract that. What you're looking for,
Yeah.
what you desire, and what you want. You're going to find that. You know what I mean? And so, at that time, because I used to work a lot with music before that, and I stopped doing that probably around 2013. That was like right then when I've always been, just a creative person in a variety of ways. And so, it's like once I kind of just got fed up with just working with music, and rappers were full of shit. They pissed me off, but it's like I didn't want to deal with them anymore, and it was like I need to do something else. And I remember like just being a couple months where I was like kind of like in a limbo state where I wasn't really doing anything creative, and I was working on myself a lot back then. Actually, just like reading a lot of like metaphysical kind of stuff. Just working on me, and then working out a lot. And eventually, like, I was on a trip back here visiting family, and it just dawned on me, like, I should ask my dad for his old cameras, see if he's got them.
Yeah.
And so I asked my dad, and he had like a collection of old cameras, and they were all just sitting there. And I was like, can I have those? And he was like, yeah, why not? And that's when I went back to Texas, and I started shooting film at first. And eventually I was like, I need to go digital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what got you started in like doing like photography more serious as like a business, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it just started out as more of like an artistic endeavor, where it was like I needed a creative outlet, and
It's like therapy, kind of.
yeah, it really was, because at the time I was working in downtown, and my job was just always had me stressed out, like especially in the summer times. We were super busy, and like I would just leave work and just be like,
What were you doing?
I was working for the city of San Antonio in their print shop, and our team was really small, and our workload was huge, and so just like we were just constantly busy all day long, and like with my position that I had, I was kind of like project manager and graphic designer there, and so everything was coming through me.
Yeah.
And like it was a constant rotation of like going to check who's at the door, dropping stuff off, answering the phone to answer somebody's questions, checking the emails, checking with the print shop to see what they needed, checking the boss to see what was going on there, working on this project for this person. It was a constant rotation of like somebody needed me somewhere all day long. And it was just like, you get burnt out with stuff like that. It gets old. And yeah, man, I just remember hitting a breaking point and just being like, I need something else. And yeah, I was taking that camera to work then, and I would just leave work and just go walk around downtown San Antonio, which at the time it was a really interesting space to walk around. You get a lot of tourists, there's a lot of homeless people, there's a lot of locals, and just like you just get this big diverse mix of people and this old architecture and art and whatnot down there, and it was just like it was really interesting to photograph. And so I would walk around after work for like an hour or two a lot of times, and just like even if I wasn't shooting a photo, just like walking around having that camera on me, it was like it was my release.
Yeah.
It was my way of like just anything that happened at work that day was gone. Just wipe it away.
Well, you also like carrying that camera. I'm sure you're kind of like you were in tune with what's going on around you. Like
Exactly.
You're looking for cool stuff.
Yeah, and that's
to shoot.
yeah, exactly, and that's part of it. Is like
That's a cool way to like discover a city.
yeah, and I'm sure Chino can relate to that. Like when when you're on a job, or even if you're not on a job, just like walking around, like I'm saying, like when you have that camera around in your hand, you tune so much out, and you're just observing the world, and you're observing people, and you're observing things, and you're looking for the details. And so it's like I'm not thinking about my phone, I'm not thinking about whatever problems I might have, I'm not thinking about any of that, no stress, nothing. It's like that camera and whatever's going to be interesting is all that matters, you know? And so it's kind of, it was easy for me to just let go of whatever I didn't want to carry with me, you know?
That's cool.
Yeah, I pretty much got like hooked on it. And then, like I said, about that same time is when I found that spot, the paint yard, met my homie Blue, and got in with, you know, all those people he was doing the street meets with. And it was like things just kind of like went from like me just being chill, just kind of being on my own out there, just not really being around too many people. And then all of a sudden it was like this whole world just opened up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet.
Is that when like you decided to go from just like just doing it therapeutic and all that to actually turning into a business, or
Not even really, because I
when
mean,
did you make that
there's
decision, kind of.
it wasn't until much later, because
Oh,
like
okay.
at first, like I said, it was more of like an artistic thing, and I
Yeah.
wasn't even thinking about like client work. I didn't know anything about that. And you know, every once in a while something would pop up where like somebody, you know, say, hey, can you take a photo for me or something? And but really what happened too, I guess I left this part out, was I met someone at some kind of networking event. I can't remember what it was, but she told me about an opportunity to start photographing like concerts
Oh, okay.
and
yeah.
music festivals, and she connected me with somebody that was in control of all that. And so I got in with them. She was really impressed with my stuff, so she put me on to doing concerts and everything like that. And that's when I really started to more look at it like, you know, this could be a business. Like there's more opportunity here than just randomly doing street photography and you know, just doing like trying to post to like art galleries or Instagram or whatever, you know, stuff like that. I started seeing other purpose with it. And it wasn't even until like I wouldn't even call it a business back then. It was just like, I guess, like side hustle. You know, I just find a little gig here and there or something. It wasn't until I came here, and then about 2018 or so, when I actually started like pushing it
Yeah.
and trying to like be a business.
I think that's when. I think I do remember like meeting you back then. Actually, like 2018. I think that's when we first met. Because my business, it was like in the midst of like being a thought, and like we were all kind of like in the beginning stage of actually like starting our businesses. I guess like Willie, you, me.
Yeah,
like
that was about the same time that they started the store.
Yeah.
Right about then, I think.
Christina with the branch too.
Yeah,
right?
Christina with the
Well,
brand.
yeah, I met her in 2017 when I first moved back, because it was not long. I want to say it was probably like within a month of me moving back up here that they did that art mixer. Yeah, because I moved back here in May, and that's usually when they do the art mixers. I think it was in May. And so I went there, got introduced to her. Willie introduced me to a bunch of people, and things started around here. Like, you know, the people I started connecting with, you know, started going up from there. Yeah. Yeah, I met a bunch of people like right away, and even me and Dee, Willie introduced us, and we talked a lot and became cool right away. And yeah, it was that first winter that I was back here, where Dee and I actually did a collaboration show at the branch,
Yeah.
where I featured a lot of like my Christina and Nicole Miller, who was working there with her at the time. They really liked the graffiti photos that I had. And so I did a whole show on that, and I mean that kind of fit Dee's style of painting and whatnot. So we did a collaborative show on that. So
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
yeah,
You got any other ones coming up?
any shows?
Yeah.
I got a piece coming up in the Wisconsin photography exhibit with Ram. Or no, right now they're doing a cultural showcase, and so I've got one of my photos in that. And then they're going to be doing a Wisconsin photography, so I'll be submitting for that too. So hopefully I'll have some stuff in that one too. I've got a bunch of ideas right now for things that I want to do. it's just been so hard to focus on any of that because of school year and everything.
Yeah.
But now that, we got I only got tomorrow because Tuesday I don't have any classes. But I still got to go to work on Tuesday though. So 2 more days and then I'm free from all that. So
Nice.
I was actually, just before I come in here, I was in my little office space, like with my whiteboard, I was writing down a bunch of, what do I need to work on? Like, what do I need to be thinking about? What do I want to accomplish this summer? So
Yeah.
I was going through all that right before this.
Were your students giving you a lot of ideas? Just kind of like their perspective on things?
It's crazy because I'm such a I feel like I probably am such a, no, actually some of the students have even said this, like I'm so different from what some of the other teachers are because like I come in with real world experience. I come in with so many a diverse background of experience with all this. I've done all of this, artistic work with photography. I've done the street photography. I've done business and client work, family photos, all that. I've done the full spectrum of, what you could do with it.
Yeah.
And I show them that, and I bring all these experiences to them in the classroom, and I tell them about it, and I show them different things that I've done. And they're not used to that. They're just used to somebody who's a teacher coming into the classroom and being a teacher.
Giving them
Teaching
a book.
theory.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah,
Yeah.
you do book work and you do all this stuff like that. And I've never had experience as a teacher before the school year, so I don't know anything about that. And I started so late, I didn't have time to prep anything.
Right.
So I'm just coming in off my experience and just literally just winging it like most of the year. And I've been very open about that with them too. And so they like that I'm just kind of coming in and just like, well, let's try this today.
Yeah, let's learn together.
Yeah, and I've done that with them numerous times.
I mean,
like
that's what business is, though. Like
yeah.
real life. If
Yeah.
you're gonna start a business, that's what it is.
I
I'm just
think
learning as I go.
I think a lot of them like that too because it's very free. Like some of the equipment that I'm limited to the equipment that we have at school. And some of that is very different from what I'm used to using. So I because I have had no prep time on most of the stuff that I've done, it's like me figuring it out. Like, well, we have these lights, we have these cameras, we have this room, we have these couple of backdrops. Let's try doing this. Let's see how this works out. Oh, well, I'll bring in this stuff from home. We'll try to throw this in the mix and see how that works out.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it is experimentation. It's fun, and I haven't been very hard on them because of that, So like they can come to my class and it's very open, it's very relaxed, it's very what do you want to try today?
Yeah.
You want to do that? Cool. You might need this, you might need that. Try this. Here's a video. Take a look at this. Let me know how it goes. Let me know if you need help. And it's like I'm very like, let's just try it.
Yeah. No, that's really cool.
Yeah, so
That's what creativity is all about, though. Is like
yeah.
It makes an idea before it even goes.
Yeah, and I love that, and so my classroom is such a mix of that, where like I'm not sure of what we're gonna do, I'm not sure how this is gonna go. Let's just try it.
Yeah.
And they don't know the possibilities of what you could do with a camera or Photoshop or any of that, because a lot of my students have never used any of that or ever thought about it. Their experience with photography is basically right here.
Yeah.
TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, that's what they know as photography, and even like seeing stuff online and album covers and magazines and whatever, they don't really think about photography in a commercial sense like that, So it's cool to show them the stuff that I've done and open their minds up to like, wow, you could do all that. Like somebody gets paid to like go photograph concerts, like for real.
Yeah.
Like oh, you took these kind of photos and you were able to put them in a gallery, like in a museum. Like people know you for that, and you sell prints, and now you've got a photo of whatever hanging up in somebody's house. Like that's crazy. They don't think about that kind of stuff. So it's a lot of discovery for them to see what's possible. It's a lot of discovery for me because I've never done any of this, and I don't know how kids are going to react to certain things, and I just don't know the way things are going to go. So it's for me, it's all experimental as well.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's This year's been crazy for that. It's been a lot of stress, just trying to figure all this out as I go, and just trying to keep it all together. But it's been fun.
Yeah. Well, even leveraging the connects that you have too, you were shooting something one time at the branch. I remember I came in and was like, watching all my stuff with I had the music on really loud, and then they come through and they're like, "Yo, can you turn that down?" I was like, "Oh, I didn't even know someone was in here."
Yeah. So that was one of my students, Jaden, who I was working with. That's the guy I was just talking about with you before the show. I was with him Friday night and yesterday as well. A couple years ago, I guess when everything was shut down, he told his mom that he wanted to work with video. Mm-hmm. She's just like, okay, you've never said anything about that before. I don't know anything about video. We'll figure something out, okay.
Yeah.
But I met him last year during the winter, well, earlier, I guess, this winter, 2021, November, December, whatever it was. I met him at some point at there's a Bell City board shop over there on Taylor. They were having an event there. Mm-hmm. And he was there. I'm not sure who he was there with, but I met him through somebody. And then we connected him with Jason Love. And Jason Love's a local videographer. And he does the after-school video program at Case. Mm-hmm. I ended up talking to Jaden. He's really into all this stuff, wants to take the photography classes at Case. Counselor told him he couldn't get in anymore or whatever, something like that. He ended up getting into my classes the last semester, so me and him have gotten to know each other really well. He got into a 48-hour video project through some people in Madison, and that's what we were doing. So we were filming. You get your genre and some things to go with it on a Friday night at, it was like 6:30, something like that. They did the reveal of what everybody was supposed to be doing with their own film.
Okay.
And then you've got until Sunday at 7:30 to turn in your film. Yeah, you got to make it like a short movie that I think had to be at least like 3 minutes long or something like that. And so that's what we were doing there.
You got me coming through disturbing the peace.
Yeah.
That's cool. What'd you guys end up doing?
It was like a mistaken identity thing. It was like somebody, I can't remember all the details, but it was I was just there trying to film it. It was him and some other students that wrote the whole thing and did all that. Mm-hmm. But it was like somebody had an obsession with somebody else, and it was like you thought this was your friend, but it turns out that they were really just like a deranged person. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was like somebody, the young girl in the video, she ended up like being taken like prisoner, like being held against their will. Yeah. It was pretty crazy. Yeah. It really was. Like I said, I was just there with the equipment, just trying to help them film it, and they did all that part. So it wasn't anything like, I don't know. I didn't even see it. So I hope it's not that bad. But he's really good with video, and it's been cool to be able to connect with students like that and young minds that, are looking for outlets and are looking for, just support in these creative endeavors that they want to go on, and, just opening up their minds to different things, I had him down there at Wings of Fire with, Christina yesterday doing video with me. And he had never used the gimbal before, but he's seen them, and he's like, I remember talking to him Friday night. He was like, "Bring the gimbal," and I was like, "All right." And if you don't know what the gimbal is, it's like the handheld.
It holds its.
Yeah. So. You walk around with the camera on the thing, and it balances it. And
I remember when you first got that. You were.
Yeah. Down at Red City, I was playing with it. But yeah, he was like, "Dude, I want to play with that." He's like, "Bring it." And so I've set that up for him, and we did like some interviews with the people working there, and then I let him walk around with that and get like some shots from around the space, and he was loving it, and it was really cool.
That's sweet.
But yeah, just to see him get hands-on with stuff like that and see his mind open up to how things work and why we're using this lens over that lens and setting up this and that and whatever, and it's been cool. It's fun to open these kids' minds up to stuff like that.
Yeah. I've always had like really, really cool teachers like at pivotal points in my life, I feel like. And I remember when I first was going into college, I was considering being a teacher. But then I kind of had the thought that you were talking about, where I was like, I haven't done anything yet. So like, what am I going to teach these people? I know nothing about life. So I was like, maybe, you know, further down the line, you know, like once I do stuff, like I could come back and be a teacher. Yeah. But Emerson and I talk about it a lot in the kitchen, that like through your business, as a business owner, when you have employees, you're basically a teacher to them.
Yeah.
Especially if you're training them on the job.
Yeah.
So like I've kind of had to learn that. But no, that's cool that you're doing that, you know, really giving them that. It's basically like a mentor. Like you're basically a mentor to your students because they're getting to see you actually do it and the products that you've produced.
Yeah.
And like you said, bringing it to life. Like to me, it's always like, I love reading, but until like you meet somebody or see it yourself, it's like, oh, this is real.
Yeah.
You know? Like
yeah.
it becomes real.
Yeah.
So that's
yeah.
really cool.
And especially like in the first semester, because like in those first few months, I was still operating as a business. You know, I still had jobs that, you know, I had to do. Mm-hmm. And so like, yeah, the first few months of the year, I was going crazy. But it was still cool though, because like I would come in on a Monday morning or on a Tuesday or whatever and be, I would show the students then like, yo, I was down in Chicago doing this weekend, check this out. And the students were always like, you know, I'd tell them like at the beginning of class, like, yo, check out these photos I shot this weekend. And they'd always be like, just like looking at the board, like, what does he do? You know, and they're like, yeah, they want to see it. And
should I help them or have them help you edit them and stuff like that? That way it can be like the School of Rock.
So,
School of Photography.
So, yeah, that's, eventually that's kind of where it's gone, is like collaborating with students on things. Like I said, this kid, Jaden,
yeah.
I've had him with me like Friday and Saturday. Friday we were doing video for the graduation ceremony.
Yeah.
Yesterday we were doing it at a business. And then with other things that have gone on, like prom, I brought in like 6 students to help me like photograph at prom. And so like, yeah, if the school is asking me to photograph stuff, you know, I bring students with.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. So like me doing the yearbook this year, I was at a lot of the games, and I would always tell my students like, meet me at the game tonight. I'll let you use a camera, and you know, I'll let you use one of my cameras, not the school cameras. I'll let you use one of mine, and you can get some photos of the game. I'll teach you how to use it, let you shoot some stuff, and I'll give you some extra credit for it, you know, for meeting me there and doing some photos. And so
right.
I had more than a handful of students
That's really cool.
that would either meet me there, or like they would see me at the game and they'd be like, hey, Mr. G, let me use your camera. And it, you know, if I knew who they were and I knew that, you know, they had been in my class, or, you know, I could trust them or whatever, then yeah, I would be like, yeah, come on over here, you know, and
That's really dope.
bring them down in the court with me or something, or be in the back of the stands with my big old long zoom range lens, and, you know, so it's always fun to like, you know, show them stuff like that.
Yeah.
You're going to have some like future ESPN like dudes.
I hope so. That's, to me, that's the point of it.
Yeah, that's
you know?
what it is. Like you're
That's-
inspiring them to do that kind of stuff.
I hope so. And I can really see it with some of them.
Yeah.
You know, so I hope to see that, but at the same time, I understand people have to walk their own paths. So, you know, if this student doesn't end up becoming like this video person, or this student doesn't become this designer or photographer or whatever, I mean, they got to walk their own path and do their own thing.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully they've enjoyed my time in my space with me, and you know, it was worthwhile for them. But yeah, that's kind of what I look at. I see some of these students and what they're into, and the questions that they ask, and the things that they try, and I really feel like there's definitely going to be some heavy competition out here for some of these people that are already established. So that's a beautiful thing to me. I want to see that.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
The young bloods.
It's always nice, like you said, like teaching, I guess, like teaching the younger generation. Like I had an opportunity to coach like soccer at Park High School too, and it was dope. It was eye opening. It was like, man, like you really like I always said, like these kids look up to you, you know. It's like I mean, I wasn't that much older. I was probably like 4 or 5 years older than the seniors at the time, and just being able to be there and like teach them like things I would have loved to be taught as a kid, and their shoes. It was dope.
Yeah, I think any kind of whether it's being like a formal teacher in a classroom like my position, or being a coach,
Yeah.
or just being some sort of other mentor for younger people that are looking to get into something. That kind of thing is important, especially like when you're, somebody that's older coming back and doing something for them.
Yeah.
A lot of times, like, I feel like just looking and talking to some of these kids and just hearing how they talk about older people, it's like they don't connect, and they just look at older people like you're just going to yell at us and tell us what we're doing wrong, and you know what I mean? You're just going to be on our asses about this and that, and you're not really helping us along. A lot of them feel that way. And so to like encourage some mistakes, and so to encourage them to grow and encourage them to learn
Yeah.
and encourage them to explore and try,
Yeah.
that's important. So whether it's, photography, coaching, business, something like that. I mean, even just being a friend,
Yeah.
because in some of my classrooms, it's even just that, where it's like the student's not really doing the work, but, we've had conversations and we've been able to talk and just having real life conversations with them.
Yeah.
That goes a long way too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like you're being the teacher that you would have wanted.
I
like
never-
letting your creativity kind of go.
Yeah,
You're drawing,
I-
let me see that. Like let's work with this. Like
I do that all the time,
You know what I mean?
because I see students that
like, yeah. Did you catch a kid sleeping in your class or what?
yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
There's always
You're like,
kids
"Hey,
sleeping in
that's
class. But I see that too, where like, it's a photography class, it's art related. So, you get some of the art students, that do like the drawing classes, the ceramics classes, whatever. They come get in my class too. And so I'll see students that are drawing and doing other things, and I never discourage it. I always go up to them and I'm like, what is that? What are you drawing? Tell me what that is. And I try to start conversations off of that, and I ask them questions like, oh, that's an anime character. Well, I don't know anything about it. What's that cartoon about? And so like I try to learn from them too. I try to pick up on what they're doing and what they're into, and things like that help me to figure out what we should do next sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, oh, so this is, like I'll see them looking at something on Instagram and be like, oh, so this is what you're looking at and this is what's interesting to you. We could do something like that. Like, well, what about this idea? And then next thing you know, we're building an idea for another assignment or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't walk in there and try to be like, I'm the teacher, I'm the authority, this is what I'm doing, this is what you're going to have to do.
Right.
No, I'm very flexible.
Yeah.
I'm very fluid with whatever's going on, and I just try to absorb it and move with it and, work with whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, like growing up, I never had a teacher that really connected with me outside of like, there was a couple of my like elementary school teachers I remember really well. And I just remember them for being so nice or so fun or something like that. And I try to think about, what I got from those classes, from elementary school. Because after that, I pretty much disconnected from any of that and wasn't even trying really.
Yeah.
I was just doing whatever I needed to do to pass, and that was it. Like, that's good enough. And so, yeah, I really try to be that teacher that is paying attention to, who's in the classroom and what they're doing and what they're into.
Yeah.
Try to make sure I remember people's names, try to make sure
Yeah.
things like that to make them feel like, oh yeah, he recognized me, he noticed me, he sees what I'm doing.
That goes a long way. It really does. Like I've always said, like what was it? Like I had my teacher. I'm not gonna say his name, but he taught world geography, and he really like just cared about like students, and that's like what it is. It's like, whether it's like talking to them in the hallway when we're not in class, or like giving them a high five, or we used to throw football around in the hallway while people watch. Just stuff like that. That matters to kids, and I noticed that with some of the teachers, like they really cared about it. There's other teachers that just didn't give a fuck. They're just there to work, and I just No, I hated that.
So what other pieces of your culture would you say you connected with? You said a lot about like lowriders, and were there other things that?
Yeah, I mean, growing up.
Because you said you grew a lot when you went to Texas. Was it learning about your family more, or what exactly?
So San Antonio, is a city of roughly, there's 2 million plus people living in the San Antonio metro area. And of that 2 million, I think the last I saw, which was probably, I don't know, it was probably 10 years ago when I remember seeing this. The stats were that it was like 64% or so Hispanic. And I bet if you looked into that number more, it was probably about 90% of that 60% that was Mexican. You know, of either from Mexico or Mexican American, whatever, you know, mixed somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So going down there from here, it was very much culture shock, even though I grew up, you know, Mexican household, a lot of, you know, traditional Mexican upbringing in a lot of ways. Going out there and just being immersed in it now, where everybody's name is Rodriguez or Garcia or Gonzalez or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, it was just like everywhere you look, there's every kind of brown person that you could think of. And, you know, being up here, growing up, I remember getting it a lot where as a kid, and, you know, I'm a little older than both of you, you know, I was born in 1980, so like late 80s, early 90s, I remember a lot of times, you know, if I was into like skateboarding or something like that, or rock music or whatever, I remember friends telling me stuff like, you know, you're acting white, or you think you're white, or, you know, stupid shit like that. You know, where they try to outcast you for not like being hood, or being like, you know, you can't speak Spanish, so, you know, you're whatever.
Right.
And you know, I've heard that from a lot of people, that they felt like they didn't fit in, and that they had to do this or that to kind of feel like they fit in. And that was me, you know, growing up too, you know, where I was into, like, some of my cousins were into like heavy metal and you know, punk and you know, skateboarding and all that kind of stuff. And so I got influenced by that and was into that. And like some of my friends weren't into that, and they thought it was, you know, weird or goofy or something. And so I kind of like, you know, I didn't show a lot of that at first. And then going down there, and you see this huge diversity of Mexicanos, where there's a huge community out there that are into like rock and metal and punk and all that kind of stuff, and it's natural for them. There's music out there where they're blending like Tejano music and punk music together.
Yeah.
And like it's crazy, like hearing some of the style, the fusions that they come up with off of that. And so to go out there and see like, oh, this is okay. There's nothing wrong, you know, like I can do this and still be Mexicano and still, you know, feel that same pride and still be, you know, back when I was a teenager, I straight up dressed like a cholo. You know, it's like I could still, you know, love heavy metal and be a cholo. Right. You know what I'm saying? I didn't understand that growing up here. You know, I felt like I was so weird or so different, you know, and I felt like I had to hide some of that.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, being down there, it made me like feel like I'm fine. Like there's nothing wrong. I can be me. You know?
That's how I kind of grew up. Like, and I think it was more in my middle school, you know. Middle school, you don't know who you are. You're just trying to figure yourself out into, like, you know, once you get into high school. I'd never spoke Spanish in middle school. I didn't speak Spanish because I felt ashamed because nobody else really did. And I just felt like maybe the other kids were going to make fun of me for it. And I didn't listen to music. I just, like, kind of distanced myself from my heritage, my culture, and stuff like that, and I just felt ashamed. I don't know why. It just was a part of me like that. I just didn't want to be a part of. Yeah. I think maybe it has to do with some like family stuff going on at the time, maybe too. But you know, I got into high school and I met up with like old friends from like elementary school, and you know, I finally was like, I realized like, you know, it's okay. It's all right to speak Spanish. It's all right, like, you know, listen to me, to like the music. And, you know, I finally, like, that's when I was like, you know what, I got to embrace my family and, like, heritage and culture and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, I remember as a kid, my first name, Rene, R-E-N-E. You know, people that don't speak Spanish or know French take that as a girl's name, Rene, R-E-N-E-E. And so I got a lot of shit for that as a kid. Like, people made fun of me, and you got a girl's name. Why you got a girl's name? And people would call out my name. You're like, oh, you're a boy, you know. And like teachers would say that to me too, even. Damn. Yeah, we're like Rene Guzman. We're like, oh, you're a boy. I didn't expect that. You know, people would. I'd get that all the time, and so I hated my name growing up. And I remember like I always wanted like my name to be like Michael or something that was like completely just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just something that was like white and cool and that nobody had a problem with, you know? And so like, yeah, and then thinking about my full name, Rene Amado Guzman, that's like Mexican as fuck, you know?
Yeah.
And so like I was always kind of like ashamed about that,
Yeah.
you know, and I wanted my name to be different.
Funny thing, my name's Alejandro. Growing up, my siblings and like my parents would call me Alex, so I would tell everybody call me Alex until I got to high school because I didn't want to be named Alejandro.
Yeah.
And then people call me Alex. The same thing because Alex can go into like Alexis. Alexis can be, you know, it's it was
It wasn't until much later when I started to embrace my name more.
Mm-hmm.
And once I started getting more, like, once I got away from, like, working on music and stuff and I got more into, like, photography and just doing, like, art in general, it was more like, that's where I started to embrace my name. And I was like, you know, I'm going to start going under Rene Amado. My last name is Guzman, and I dropped that from a lot, like, with the artist side, just because the only reason I did that is, like, is just because Rene Amado is me and Guzman is my family. So it's like, I want to be known as me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nothing against my family, like, you know, Guzman. But yeah, some people have become very confused about my name, and they're not sure, like, oh, did you change your name or something? Like, no. That's just my full name. I just don't always use it like that. And so I'm actually still very confused over it myself now because, like, I'm at school, everybody knows me as Guzman. Everybody out here knows me as something else, and it's like,
I know when you said Mr. Guzman, I was like,
yeah. People are definitely confused by that. It confuses me still now, whatever. But
Like, who
it's
am I?
it's all me though, Rene Amado Guzman.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I hated that name growing up, and I love it now though. Yeah,
you could be part of Lord of the Skies, man.
Lord of the Skies, what's that?
Yeah, El Señor de los Cielos. His last name is Amado Carrillo. Well,
Oh yeah. Okay, I know. Yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
well, no, that's his first name. Amado is his first name.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like
And then Guzman, Chapo.
okay, so
Better watch out.
my grandfather,
Yeah.
my mom's dad, we have the same birthday, and his first name is Amado, and so that's where my middle name comes from.
Yeah.
And then I've used the aliases with Guzman and Chapo, El Guapo, and just being stupid about that, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's my name on Spotify or something. Just
We're gonna
being
look it
funny,
up.
just
We're gonna look it up. We're gonna post a picture, and then I'm gonna see if I can find your music, and I'm gonna post it in the background. Oh man.
Punk playlist.
Right?
That's funny. Actually, there was a president like recently. He got like overthrown in Guatemala, and his name was Sergio Otto Perez Molina, and my dad is Sergio Molina Perez.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then like everybody was like, they would like double take when he was like coming into the country. They're like, "Hey, you part of that family?" Where's my kickback?
That's funny.
You know,
That's
that was hilarious.
all right. Well, we got one more card. We got Sergio's card.
Yeah, you never finished that.
El VR.
VR.
El VR. But you know what that card
kinda
is? You know what that card is in regular?
Technology. What?
El Borracho. I seen him at the bar on Thursday. I'm like, Serge
him?
at the bar. Unbelievable.
Doesn't happen too often, does it?
No, I'm just joking.
I'm a recluse.
So LVR, do you have an Oculus or what?
No, I was saying it's kind of ironic because I'm like scared of technology.
Yeah.
I'm an old man, dude.
Took him like an hour to reply to my text. Took him forever to get an iPhone.
See, maybe that's telling you that you need to get more into technology, and maybe that's telling me I needed to get more tattoos because I always wanted them growing up.
And you need to keep trolling, bro.
I need to
Don't
keep
stop.
Yeah, you're on the right path.
I was telling
Troll
my
away,
siblings
dog.
yesterday. I was with some of my family yesterday. I'm not gonna name names, but I was basically just like trolling the hell out of them, just because I love doing that. What were we talking about? We were.
You get fired up about trolling.
I do. I get fired up because I want to make it believable. He was basically telling me that that the U.S. is such a great country because of the freedom we have here. I'm not saying the U.S. isn't a great country. I mean, I live here, whatever. But me being the troll that I am, I was like, but you know, Mexico has freedom. A lot of the countries in Europe have freedom. What does freedom have to do with anything?
It's such a funny thing that like so many people are so like, and I'm not trying to like talk down about the U.S. or anything, but so many of those people that are so gung ho U.S. have never been anywhere else in the world. like they're so close minded to anything else.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you know that? You know what I mean? Like you can't say this is the best drink ever if you've never drank anything else in your life.
Right. That's why that movie Team America is hilarious.
Yeah. Is that the one with the dolls?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Dude, you gotta watch it. Have you seen it?
I probably
think it's
have.
on Netflix right now.
Yeah.
I probably have. I just don't remember it.
It's just the South Park guys basically just making fun of America.
Sure,
just
yeah.
impose ourselves
Okay.
on everybody and everything.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, I think I lasted a good 20, 30 minutes trolling him about just like stuff here, and like he was like, "Oh, I want to move to Florida," and I'm like, "What's so great about Florida?" and like just stuff like that. I don't know. I like being a troll. It's funny. It's just you know, when you get bored, you know.
Yeah.
You get bored.
I'm gonna start trolling you now.
Go ahead. I'll
Trolls.
troll right back. we got one.
Actually,
We got a.
a VR though. I had
Troll Wars.
I wanted to tell you guys about an idea actually. So like,
Okay.
I always thought it would be cool. So I'm always trying to create like these touch points with my business
Yeah.
at the market stand, where like figuring out like what people like about coffee. Like, do they like the taste? Do they like the journey? Do they just
The
come and try to
smell.
talk like with people? Because like coffee shops create a vibe, you know. One of the ideas I had, like I want to try to get into like VR actually specifically, and do like VR tours of the farm while you're waiting for your coffee.
Oh.
So like you put it on and you're
Yeah.
like on the farm and you're like picking the coffee or something.
That'd be crazy because like people never really think about where the product comes from, you know.
But
They
you
might say
literally
like
bring 'em to it.
this is a Colombian coffee or whatever, you know, this is
So like you said, some people never even left the country. Some
Right.
people never even left the state, dude.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Racine in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I mean just like for me being able to show these kids all these different examples of photography and that somebody gets paid to do this all this different stuff. They don't think of photography beyond the cell phone and these apps.
Yeah.
People don't think of coffee other than I need to wake up, I need something now, boom, I'm gonna just slam this coffee.
Yeah.
And that's it. You know, they don't think about where it comes from and the labor that goes into it and the family traditions
Yeah.
and stuff like that. You know, they don't see all that. So
Yeah. No, and like
That'd
that's a
be
cool
really
thing
cool.
for me, like being able to share, you know, because like I love Guatemala. Like when I went there, obviously because my family's probably there from there, like I'm very biased about it. But it's a beautiful country. Like you
Yeah.
ever go there, like there's so many expats in Guatemala too. Like they take over certain cities because it's an awesome country.
yeah.
But yeah, being able to share that, like you know, someone actually put it on, and like I've envisioned that before.
We gotta look into it now, man.
I know it's probably
Really
like I gotta make millions first.
We already making millions, man. We're hustling to it.
Yeah,
Hustling to
you're
it.
right. You're right.
All right, this is a group one.
All right.
There's a group one.
Oh, hey, look, it's Pride Month. And Pride. Well, that's dope. Yeah, happy Pride Month to our prideful listeners.
I ain't mad at anybody. You're all welcome here with me. So
Yes, exactly.
long
I have
as
my
you're cool.
siblings. Some of my siblings are, in fact, prideful. There's a picture I shared. It said, "Oh, something about my sibling being gay, and I'm just gonna celebrate it for this month." So I tagged Lupa in it, and I was like, "Hell yeah, girl, you go, girl." So, that's it.
That's funny. Yeah.
It is
just
funny.
kicked off, right?
Yeah, just kicked off.
that's funny that those aren't even like tarot cards, and you didn't even try to do like a tarot like you know what I mean, like in the
Yeah.
traditional sense. But like that's all. I think that's all relevant.
Yeah, it is. For each and every one.
yeah, yeah, it's pretty cool.
No, I mean it was like an idea we had at my house the other day, and it's just another talking point that we do in the show.
Yeah, a little
You know?
icebreaker.
Yeah,
Kind of get the conversation going.
it's dope.
Yeah, you told us about your tattoos too. Oh, shit. And then you started talking about the lowriders and stuff. So
Yeah,
I
that's
think
all.
it's like more of like, yeah, it's just another talking point for the pod, and it's like stuff maybe you didn't think you were gonna say, stuff like that. You know?
Yeah.
It's dope.
yeah.
We're running at 110. You want to start wrapping it up a little bit?
Yeah. Anything you want to share as
We've
far
been
as
talking
like,
for how long?
Like an hour and 10.
Oh wow. That's funny how these things go. You just start talking. And
Yeah, it's just cool conversations. No, honestly, like that's always been a cool thing with you. Like ever since we had that class, we just kind of connected, and we just always have really cool conversations whenever we link up.
Yeah, it was.
And it's funny that you mentioned that you feel like you're shy, but I feel like any event I go to, you're talking to somebody. You know, like you're always, you know, everybody. You're like shouting people out on the podcast.
Well, I was always like that growing up, and if you know, like, if you were to meet like my older friends from back then, they would all definitely be like, "Oh yeah, Rene is definitely shy." But I was actually talking about this yesterday. I was talking when I was with my student. I was telling him how I had a class in college where it was an English class, and we always had to do presentations. Whenever we wrote something for the class, we had to do a presentation, and that really started to like make me be like I had to get comfortable talking in front of people. Then, you know, it's like I had to. If I wanted a decent grade, I was gonna have to go up and talk.
Yeah.
And so you just started to get comfortable, and then having a business and doing the stuff that I do, like I've had to open up. And that's another thing that I love about photography and showing my work. I always thought it was dumb, like the people that keep their photography just for Instagram or on their phone or just in the digital space. Like to me, that's just, it's a waste of so much more that could be happening there. And I've always enjoyed showing my work, not for like, just for like an ego sense or anything like that, but like just the conversations. People are always curious, like, where'd you take this? What'd you do here? What happened? And just like, that makes me talk. That makes me get open. And, you know, you start talking about photography, and I could talk, I mean, we could go the whole evening talking.
Yeah.
And like, I've had to do this now for the last 9 months because I've got all these kids in this classroom, and I've got to talk.
Yeah.
I've got to open them up. I've got to give them ideas. I've got to, you know, you know, say things. And, you know, so I've gotten so much more used to it now.
Yeah. Well, another thing too is like, you know, photography, photos are just like a memory caught, right?
Yep.
And like my mom always says, recordar es volver a vivir. So like when you remember, you relive it. So like you'll light up about, oh, I remember I was on this shoot, I did this, I did that.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't even realize like you're just talking. You just keep talking, you know.
Yeah.
Like same thing with me though, because like I'm a very shy person. Like unless you catch me one-on-one, and then I'll talk your head off, and if I know you. And I think that's what's kind of cool about this podcast. Like I was telling him, like, yeah, we should start it because it's going to get me to be better at communicating with people, get better at conversations, and just hearing people's stories has always been interesting to me. Like I always grew up listening like to autobiographies and just seeing how people went through life, and it's just cool, like hearing people's stories and yeah. And like you said, like with the exposure thing, like you learn about people that way, you know, like hearing their story. Why do they do what they do? Like hearing their past, all that stuff. So.
Yep.
But yeah, anything you want to let us know about like what you're doing, like any ideas that you might be cooking?
Right now, I'm really just using, like I've had people like wanting to work more, like doing, you know, like client work this summer, and I'm considering some of it, but like, you know, these last few months I've had to share with so many different people. It's like I really want these next couple months to kind of be for myself, and just like I haven't done any personal work in so long, and so I've got so many different ideas. That's where I want to kind of focus. I want to take some of the photography that I have now that's already been done, and I've got ideas for like, you know, just like product ideas for like different ways to put it out there and just showcase it and whatnot. And so I want to develop some of that over the summer, and then travel a little bit too, because I need to get out of here.
Where are you going? Where are you going?
I'm going to LA in August.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a big car show going on out there, and with, you know, things like Instagram or whatever, I'll come to meet and, you know, virtually meet, you know, different people. And so going to meet up with some people out there. Willie and D and those guys might be coming with too.
Oh,
so that'll be fun if we make it like a, you know,
sick,
a friends trip. But I'll be out there for some of that stuff going on. Might be going to Florida for some work stuff in July. That'll be cool. Just anyway, just, you know, it's a work trip, but it'll be fun because it'll just be a vacation.
Yeah.
But and then you know, I'm thinking about like just some couple of, you know, just trips more locally. You know, go visit Minneapolis for a day or two. Go visit Madison. You know, just kind of go around here and yeah, just try to enjoy the summer as much as possible.
Yeah.
You
I feel
know,
that.
before I got to go back into the classroom. And it's been cool, but at the same
Yeah.
time, it takes a lot out of you. So
Ah,
Oh, I bet.
yeah,
Badass kids.
not even that.
I'm
You know, there's that, but you know, not even that. So
No, I just like think about myself back then. Like, holy shit! If I was in your class.
a lot of the bad kids aren't so bad around me. So
Yeah.
that's
You're cool, man. Everybody gets along with you.
yeah. All right, guys, that's it for today. And just like, sorry, I can't even speak right now. Thank you to Chino and at Altura Studio Company. Sorry. And thank you to Rene for coming in.
Thanks for
We're
the
gonna look up the music you have on Spotify and use that as a background for a picture of you.
nothing out there.
All right. Happy Pride Month, guys. Like the card said, Happy Pride Month.
So yeah.